Hello, Midtown Toronto. Midtown Toronto, one of my favorite areas to work and be around. It is I, Andrew the Realtor. Beautiful people, it's Andrew the Realtor with the essential Midtown Toronto housing market update. Now, for those of you who've seen any of my updates, I usually do a GTA-wide, more thorough and longer housing market update, which people actually tend to really, really like. We're getting more and more views on that, so have a look at that. I'm going to leave you a link right up top above here. Click on that. But if you're in Midtown, listen, I'm going to give you some local news right now. Leave a lot of the fluff and such and go right to the hard-hitting journalism. A bit of sarcasm there. I'll show it to you in a second as to why that is. So some local news notes on the upcoming election. Quick note there in the Midtown market numbers that are very important. A little bit of encouragement actually, because chances are if you're watching the media, it's going to be a lot of discouraging among many other things. But I have some encouraging numbers for you. And as I always do every month, and I certainly will be doing for Midtown specifically, what buyers and sellers should be doing right now in April of 2025. So onwards, guys. You know, we've heard about tariffs and the elections coming up, and there's all kinds of other stuff, but there's some important stuff right now. Before I get to that, guys, this is my link to my little real estate experience. Please hit like and subscribe if you watch this on YouTube. I have a channel on there. The whole point of this, my GTA market update, the listing videos that I do, the whole point is to provide you, the Torontonian, or in this case, the Midtown Torontonian, with local housing market information, minimal opinion, just facts on the ground, and I guarantee you it'll be worth your while. Just a few minutes of this. So on to Midtown Toronto. Again, hit like and subscribe if you can. I don't get anything for it other than I know that you're watching, and the information, the good stuff, comes to you and to you only. So anyway, again, I promise hard-hitting news, and of course, when you think of hard-hitting news, tariffs, the Trump administration, the new administration coming up here in the election of 2025 in Canada, and of course, what do you think about as the hardest-hitting news is, of course, pickleball. Pickleball is very important. I'm being sarcastic, however, a bit of local news that some might find interesting. And if you know anything about pickleball and its popularity right now, you might know that I'm actually not being quite as sarcastic as I may sound. So if you're wondering what's going on at the old Mercedes-Benz dealership east of Laird in Eglinton, the answer is pickleball. As you can see, their fairgrounds that's a big deal, and it's only going to get bigger because pickleball is huge right now. Growing network of racket clubs bringing 13 pickleball courts. I think it's temporary. I don't think it's going to last too long, but have a look at that because undoubtedly for the summer especially, you've been looking at stuff to do. That's something there. And if you're wondering, because I drive by that place all the time. Anyway, so local news, nothing too big. I know. Don't hit delete. Don't go to the next cat video just yet. Okay. Local news, this is important, and I'm going to leave a link in the description of the video to this article specifically because there are specifics about this. But listen, this is an area between 148 and 158 Sudan Avenue. This is a 56-story residential tower is being proposed. So this is something that probably will happen, but it's not 100% yet. Why this is important is, first of all, it's going to be a significant change to that street and that little block right there. Not so little block, I should say. But also, there are some issues initially because some of these the measurements exceed the local guidelines for those kinds of buildings. So, I mean, again, more details in the article specifically. But if you live in this area, this might be something you want to look at. A little bit more news here on that specifically. This proposal seeks to replace those low-rise buildings, which you can see in the picture there. On the mid-block between Lillian Street and Redpath. Redpath, of course, has a few condo buildings there. It's purpose-built rental tower. Pretty big, 185 meters. That's no joke. 674 units. In the article, they mentioned there are units to elevator ratio and that kind of thing, which is important, by the way, if you think of somebody moving into such a place. And of course, they have to, 14 of those units would serve as rental replacements for the ones that they're actually, tearing down to do this. So again, a bit of a pickleball, very specific local news here. And this is important. I mean, there's lots of projects, Yonge Street and of course around there in Midtown. But this is an interesting one specifically, especially again, if you live in this area and you're watching this, have a look, maybe get a little bit of information on it. Click on the little link underneath. It has nothing to do with me. It's an article in a different magazine that has all the details about this specific project. So onwards, guys. I'll mention this. I'm doing an election video. It's going to come out shortly in a few days. I don't pretend, nor am I going to be giving my own personal opinion. But again, a few thousand people watch my stuff, and I think it's important. And I'll give you some dates as to what the important election dates. But also the breakdown of the housing policies proposed by the three of the top political parties. I think that's important. And again, I'm not giving my opinion. I'm not even going to underline anything. I already know that because I don't want anyone to think that I'm pushing one versus the other. I just want you guys to have the information there. That's everybody, not just Midtown, obviously. But one interesting proposal, which I know because I haven't spoken to people in Midtown specifically. Some of you might have seen me do face to face because I go to the door sometimes over there just to check out the homes and chat with the neighbors. One major interesting policy that is proposed by one of the parties is a capital gains tax policy proposal that it would defer capital gains tax, which is a big deal when the proceeds are reinvested back into Canada. Now, there's obviously some stipulations and details in there, but that's a big deal because I know a lot of people, especially in Midtown, some of you guys have a lot of equity in your homes. Maybe you have another property you need to sell. Maybe you have a cottage elsewhere. So this kind of stuff will definitely apply. So that's a big deal. Check out my election page. So again, I promised local. Let's go local. A bit of encouraging news. On the right is GTA wide. I've done that already. You can check that out later. But specifically Midtown, and I know Midtown asterisk. You know, what do you count as Midtown? You go to Google, it's a specific thing. I have my own little version, but it's basically what you guys think of Midtown. We're Torontonians, we know these things. So here we go. Average price is the biggie. So first of all, properties sold in general, as you can see on the right, dropped 23% in GTA. So one of the talking points right now is high inventory, low sales, and prices slightly going down in the GTA. But again, look at Midtown specifically, the light brown color here. So you got properties sold are down 15%. That's not bad. That's less than GTA. So you'll notice a pattern here specifically. There's a GTA all encompassing, and Midtown, which one of the reasons I love Midtown is it's real estate wise, it's an almost bulletproof kind of an area. By that I mean, even during times of COVID when things were down for the short time that it was down, times when the market crashes, for example, even in 2022, the first quarter, areas right around Midtown, right around the core of Toronto, they're almost bulletproof, which is phenomenal if you own property there because, you know, your loss is significantly less than others. Not that you wish loss on others, but it's nice to know that your area, your neighborhood is doing really well in terms of the housing numbers. So notice, property sold minus 15%, down 15% from March of 2024. Not great, but again, it's much better than the overall GTA. So we're already ahead of the class, so to speak. Average price on all properties, condos, freehold, the whole bit. Up 12% price-wise. That's interesting because again, across the GTA, generally prices are down on average. That's a big plus. And again, listen, it's month over month in Midtown, which is not like the biggest part. Well, it's not all of Toronto. So we're looking at a smaller number. So keep that in mind, a bit of a grain of salt every time you do monthly numbers. But as you see these updates, and I hope you watch them, by the way, and I appreciate your time, what you're going to notice is there's a pattern that develops over time. So if month after month after month after month, Midtown tends to be doing a little bit better than a lot of the areas, that's something to keep in mind. And the numbers will start to make a lot more sense. And I also mentioned underneath that plus 7% just freehold. So obviously the 12 plus 12 included all different kinds of properties in Midtown. Average price went up 12%, but just the freehold went up 7%. So clearly the condos in the area are doing pretty well, which is actually quite positive because the condo market's not great in general right now. But yeah, freehold properties plus 7%. So again, take that with a grain of salt. There's only so many properties that sell in 1 month, especially a slower month as March was of this year. Still, that's a pretty encouraging number there. And look at the bottom circles there, the green, the blue, and the green. So detached up 13%. So we saw that. Going freehold includes townhomes, semis, and everything else. So you got detached, semis down 16%. Now, I did it in blue because it's neither good nor bad. Remember, there's only 7 sold. So on a monthly basis in a smaller area of Toronto, you want to be careful not to go, oh crap, my semi that I have is down 16%. No, not necessarily. It's just right now, depending on what's sold, how it's sold, conditions, watch these month over month, which I appreciate. And you'll notice a pattern. You kind of get a better idea. It's one of the reasons I didn't do anything on townhomes. Only 2 sold, and I can't give you an average because honestly, it'd be intellectually dishonest. Because next month it might be a completely different ball game, and then you wonder what is this guy doing with the average prices. So townhomes, freehold, and condo townhomes, NA, no answer. I'm leaving that alone in terms of the average price. If you have specific questions, please contact me. My information right there. My email is right there. My website's right there, askandrew.realtor, or at the bottom of the video. And of course, condos, interesting, condos, I'm very happy to see this, are up 0.7% on average in terms of price. That's a really big deal. It's a really big deal. Because again, if you're in the market like I am on a regular basis and you see what happens in condos, not just downtown, not just Midtown, but like all over Scarborough, over to Etobicoke, even out on the outskirts in Durham, Peel, and York, it's not great. And so to see this happening is really awesome. Honestly, I am encouraged. I like when fellow Canadians are building equity or maintaining the equity when sometimes it's a tough market. So on the right, of course, average price and the average sales, well, the sales last month significantly lower. So that's GTA, but Midtown doing really well. Onwards. Buyers. I'm going to get right to the summary. I always try to have a summary for buyers and sellers. As I do in my GTA, I want to do specifically for Midtown. So GTA wide, we're at very high inventory. Midtown, we're also in high inventory. I refer you back to the previous numbers so you can rewind that video. Over 26,500 active listings in the GTA. That's huge. We're almost at the numbers we were last summer, which was a record. So this is very high right now. Very high. Please, when I say very high, I'm not on the news. I'm not CP24. I'm not any of these news things trying to exaggerate things. I'm legitimately saying 26,500 over that active listings is very high for the GTA. We're nearing records already. That's a big deal. And remember, sales are down. Midtown, you're in my Midtown. We're at about almost 500 in Midtown, which is still significantly higher than this time last year. So that's important. So again, high inventory is the theme. Is the theme this month. It's probably going to theme next month as well. But sales are down. So naturally, you would think that that is happening. Any other market other than maybe the GTA, you would think, oh, well, inevitably then the prices are going to start coming down. But you saw the numbers, not my opinion, you saw the numbers in terms of the prices, and they're actually up from last year, which tells you what? Buyers. What does that tell you? Note, most interest rate forecasts have more cuts coming this year. That's everybody agreeing to it. More if the tariffs continue from our neighbor to the south. If these tariff things continue, then all the more the Bank of Canada is going to be more likely to continue to cut rates. Now, are they going to do it this month of April? I don't think so personally. The last time I checked, there was a 40% chance, which is less than 50-50. But the point being, inevitably, rates are going to be cut. And there's this huge pent-up demand on the buyer side with enormous inventory, and the prices not only maintaining, as in the GTA, but even increasing, as in Midtown Toronto. So, guys, buyers in Midtown, what do you think is going to happen if you're looking to buy something, especially in the Midtown area? What do you think is going to happen? You think the prices are going to drop? They're going to plummet for no reason whatsoever, even though they haven't yet, they've actually gone up? Listen, the buyers are going to come in, and things are going to get hotter. Not crazy, but certainly hotter than they are now. So, buyers, I say this in the GTA, I say this to my friends in Midtown specifically. Don't get distracted. If the tariffs don't affect you directly, and I want to be sensitive to this, I understand this changes some people's plans, so people are directly affected with this tariff business. If you're not fully affected, directly affected, buyers, get in the game. Get in the game. And if you own property that you don't want to sell, but interested in possibly being an investment property or something else, I'm telling you this is a great time to do it. Sellers are interested, especially outside of Midtown, the more soft areas, they're very interested in a buyer coming by and getting something. Don't want to get ripped off. I'm not in that business whatsoever, just to be honest. But there are some good deals to be had. There are sellers who will really help in buying their property. So if you don't want to take out equity at low rates, the large equity that you've had in your Midtown home and buy maybe an investment property, that might be an idea. But again, if you're just buying in general, especially a condo or something, or you're looking for investment property, get in the game. And of course, don't forget to vote Monday, April the 28th. That's a big deal. Not specifically business or housing related, but it's an important thing for us Canadians. Here's an interesting point of somebody getting in the game. This is a story just, I think it was last month when we had one of the weird snowstorms. Buyers braved the storm to snag Midtown penthouse with a view. The point being, why I put this out, I always tell my buyer clients, if it's bad weather, especially if it's a snowstorm or something, make sure you're looking, because that's a time when some buyers will be demotivated. They're not going to want to go, they'll have some excuse to not get into the market. Whereas buyers who are savvy can snag a nice penthouse, in this case, specifically in Midtown, at a decent price. Because you got to take advantage when you have it. And right now, buyers do have that in many ways. Now, Midtown sellers, certainly you shouldn't be discouraged seeing what the prices and numbers are. As long as the market is okay, as long as the weather is okay, the spring market should start picking up. And that's a really big deal. It will pick up inevitably. I'm not trying to be just optimistic and, but in reality, inevitably has to get better. In many cases, selling first is still the way to go. Depends on your situation. I know some of you have tons of equity of very expensive homes. And you have tons of equity in there, so maybe you don't need to do that. You have a lot more flexibility. Thank God for it. However, generally speaking, it's probably the way to go. But the key, and I say this every time to sellers, please, if you listen to nothing else in this specific area of my video, know your numbers. How are things selling in your specific area, on your specific street, in your specific kind of house? What's the days on market? What kind of price can you expect? Where are you looking to buy if you're moving? Are you buying somewhere with a lower days on market or a higher days on market? All these numbers are going to, which I can get for you, by the way, feel free to contact me. All these numbers are going to help you make the right decision for you and your family. So ideally, as always, in terms of selling, price properly right from the start. I've seen, even in Midtown, guys, God bless you, sometimes you guys are shooting for the moon. And I understand, you want the most for your money. I want the same thing. However, you also have to be realistic. And at least, if you're going to shoot for the moon, make sure you talk to your realtor, maybe me, and say, listen, 2 or 3 weeks of this, if nothing's happening, we're going to make a price adjustment. But that's not the best. The best, starting properly with the proper price. And of course, get a proper listing agent, guys. You want somebody I know plenty of good realtors in Midtown. And one of them is me. So, but there's others. I understand. So I'm not knocking anybody. I'm certainly not advocating anyone specifically. But listen, get somebody who's a professional, who not only knows the area, which is somewhat important, but who's good at marketing your property specifically and actually cares and does activity right now with this much inventory. Us realtors, we got to put in work. As always, guys, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. My Midtown friends, I'm providing this just information for the local market. You can QR code if you're watching us on TV. You can see my little website information there, some lawyer information, mortgage information. I have good people there. I don't get anything for it. I want you to have good information. And hit like and subscribe if you see this on YouTube. And I will see you in May. Oh, sweet heavens. Take care.